In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Peace be upon you. June 18th, and on this Wednesday morning in Pakistan, the most important news of the day is the meeting between President Donald Trump and Field Marshal Asim Munir. Yes, a few hours ago, information emerged that President Trump will host Field Marshal Asim Munir at a working launch in the Kennedy Room of the White House today, Wednesday, at 1:00 p.m. There will not be a formal launch, but there will be a working launch, and this meeting will be held on top of the launch. A meeting inside the Kennedy Room means that other military generals will also be present, and there will be other associates of Mr. Trump participating in this meeting as well. This is a very important meeting. There is no doubt about it, not only regarding Pakistan, but also considering the ongoing situation within Pakistan, the developments in the region, and even for the Pakistani diaspora in America, this meeting holds great significance. So we present to you all the details of this meeting and try to explain what President Trump will ask from Field Marshal Asim Munir, what he will want, and in return, what Field Marshal Asim Munir will ask from President Trump and what he will want. Similarly, we will discuss what President Trump is in a position to offer, and likewise what Field Marshal Asim Munir is in a position to offer. So first of all, keep in mind that this meeting was not originally scheduled with President Trump. Mr. Asim Munir has been here since the 12th. And these meetings were taking place through his backdoor channels with generals and his military contacts. By now, all of you already know why these meetings were happening. The war with Iran has already broken out. But obviously, the United States, Pakistan, the entire region, and even Iran have known for quite some time that this war was happening. At least a week or a week and a half before this war broke out, we had already informed you when the United States started evacuating its personnel from its bases in Qatar, the UAE, and other locations. At that time, the information had come in that war could break out at any moment, and after that, as you saw, the war did indeed begin. So you need to keep in mind that General Asim Munir's visit is purely for this reason. It is not for any other reason. He was not invited here because of human rights issues in Pakistan, nor is it because of rare earth minerals, nor is it because of cryptocurrency. This is purely because of Iran, due to the situation in Iran and the impending war with Iran. Now, since we are in mid-June, everyone has known about this since the beginning of June or the end of May. It is in this context that he has been invited here. So first of all, keep in mind that President Trump left the G7 meeting in Canada and arrived early in America, which is why his schedule is free today. If he had followed his original schedule, he would not have had any time for meetings today and would have been engaged in G7 related activities. Because he left early, matters that were previously only being handled at the general's level or were supposed to be have now been escalated. And now the Field Marshal is being seated directly in front of President Trump to discuss the situation in Iran. Now, two things are important here. First, as we have already told you, President Trump left the G7 early, so he had a free day, and perhaps he scheduled this extremely important meeting for that reason. It may be that the generals below were not able to get certain things from the Field Marshal, or the Field Marshal did not give them what President Trump wanted from him. Or it is also possible that the generals thought they needed more things which they are requesting from the Field Marshal, and perhaps those matters could not be handled at the general's level. That is why the Field Marshal is now being seated directly in front of President Trump. This is not an ordinary situation, it is an extraordinary one because he is a grade 22 army chief. He is not yet a head of state, he is not a president. According to international protocols, he cannot meet with President Trump, not even with Marco Rubio. These are against diplomatic norms. Meetings can happen at the general's level because, as I keep saying, if you recall past events like meetings with President Musharraf or others, keep in mind that at that time they were heads of state. And if any other army chief had such meetings, they would always take the Prime Minister along, at least for the sake of fulfilling diplomatic norms, because a head of state meets with another head of state. The reason is that America's need in the region is extraordinary at this time. They need out of proportion help in the region. That is why President Trump, who is usually very mindful of such things unless it is for his own benefit, since this is for his own benefit, he is setting diplomatic norms aside and meeting directly with an army chief who is equivalent to his own subordinate generals. So keep both of these points in mind. Now, the next thing you need to keep in mind is that this meeting is purely about Iran. Don't think of anything else regarding this meeting. The purpose of this meeting is to determine to what extent Pakistan is willing to go against Iran, because President Trump's tweets and all the preparations beforehand keep in mind that there have already been 5 rounds regarding Iran and the negotiations that were taking place in Oman with the United States, in which Iran had clearly announced that it absolutely did not want to build a nuclear bomb and wanted peace. So peace had almost been achieved or was in the process of being achieved. Despite this, Israel, of course, did not attack without America's consent. Now, President Trump's statements are also very clear. He wants complete surrender from Iran. And he has also made it clear that they will not kill, but it would be better if Iran backs down. And it would be better if they sign this agreement. So it has become clear that now the brave America is openly entering this war because America's interests throughout the entire region have gone out of proportion. At this time, there is an urgent need for Pakistan's support. Now, let's lay out before you what they might ask from Pakistan. What will President Trump ask from the Field Marshal? The very first thing they will ask for, in our opinion, is military bases, specifically air bases, so that if America has to wage a full-fledged war against Iran, then on one side there is Afghanistan, but perhaps they won't be able to get bases there in the same way. Similarly, on the other side is Tajikistan, and they won't get bases there either. They might get them in Iraq, but that's only from one side. To attack from the other side, because Iran is a very large country, they might then look to Pakistan to launch an attack from the other direction. Now, you might say that it would be very difficult for Pakistan to give air bases to America because within Pakistan overall, most Pakistanis, but especially some say 20% of the population at the base level are Shia. Some say 30%, some say 35%, some even say 40%. Everyone has their own numbers. They have a deep devotion to Iran. So there could be a lot of resentment within Pakistan. In such circumstances, an arrangement could be made like in the past. Remember, the Shamsi Air Base was given by Pakistan to the UAE, to the Emirates, but later it was used by America. So even now, there could be some kind of collusion where any air base is given to someone else and then later used by another party. Like that song, you belong to someone else, but someone else desires you. The same kind of thing could happen here. Moving on, it's also possible that only airspace is needed, although there doesn't seem to be much reason for that, except if America brings a naval fleet to Pakistan's sea and launches planes from there, though I don't know, that could also be a possibility. Then there could be a demand to use Pakistan's airspace as well. The biggest demand could be intelligence sharing. As I told you, Pakistan, Iran and Pakistan have another relationship. India had established many assets inside Iran, after which Pakistan also focused a lot on intelligence in that area. Besides that, pilgrims go thousands, even hundreds of thousands of pilgrims travel from Pakistan to Iran every year. Among such a large number of pilgrims, intelligence agencies obviously send their people here and there. It's not difficult for any country to cultivate assets in such a situation. Israel has also cultivated a lot, but if America gets extensive intelligence sharing from Pakistan, that would be very useful and would serve their interests. Especially since President Trump's recent announcements and Netanyahu's statement that now they don't just want a nuclear agreement with Iran, but they want regime change. They want to remove the current religious leaders Ayatollah Khamenei and his entire group and install Reza Pahlavi, the son of the Shah of Iran, through regime change. If they want regime change, it won't happen just through aerial bombardment. For that, they'll have to instigate a civil war. And obviously, just like here, our generals, politicians, and elite are resented because of financial corruption. Many people are fed up. There's a similar situation in Iran, although at this time, Iran is facing a huge challenge, and most people in Pakistan support them. But we can't close our eyes to the fact that wherever a regime has been in power for 25, 30, 40 years, corruption and other issues arise. So, among the general public there, when we talk to any Iranian in America, the kind of grievances we have against our own government, they have the same. They also say there's corruption, bad governance, and so on. To exploit this, if they want to instigate a civil war inside Iran, Pakistan will be an important country in this regard. Then for this, conventional weapons are also needed. As you saw in the case of Ukraine, Weapons from Pakistan first went to America and then reached Ukraine, this is claimed by international newspapers. Remember, many American magazines have written full reports with evidence that Pakistan sold those weapons worth about 900 million or so, but international newspapers have covered this. Similarly, and why is this? Now, the world's modern countries, some make microchips, some make drones, some make F 35s, some make modern aircraft, some make missiles, but these conventional weapons, grenades, howitzers, hand grenades, and similar types of conventional weapons are not manufactured in many places. But they are still made in Pakistan because of the war against terror and other needs where such arms are required. So, perhaps for a civil war, these kinds of weapons would be needed and they could also be requested from Pakistan. Then, when it comes to sealing Iran from all sides, a lot of smuggling happens through Pakistan oil comes in, which keeps providing Iran with oxygen. If that smuggling is stopped and the border is sealed, Iran can also be choked off from that side. This is something President Trump can also consider. Now, this entire larger scenario kind of chaos has erupted, in which, firstly, there is supposed to be a deal with Iran not to make nuclear bombs, and at the same time, there is talk of regime change. So, while resolving the Iran issue, President Trump will also want that after his recent visits to Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Qatar. If you think that during these visits, President Trump was unaware that a war between Israel and Iran was about to start and that America would get involved in this war, then you are mistaken. When President Trump came to the Middle East, it wasn't necessary that the three countries he visited knew about it, but President Trump certainly did, and he played all his moves accordingly. President Trump wants the UAE, Qatar, Oman, and Saudi Arabia, all these countries to recognize Israel, and for this ongoing conflict to be ended once and for all. And you may have also heard that the people in Gaza are to be permanently relocated to another country, and that Israel should take complete control over the entire territory. Now, in this context, Pakistan could also be asked to recognize Israel. This is something President Trump could also demand. In the past, Hamid Mir has revealed that General Bajwa wanted Pakistan to recognize Israel. According to Hamid Mir, he also made this demand to Imran Khan, but Imran Khan refused. You have heard all of this from Hamid Mir himself on Pakistan television. So now, these are a few major points that we have presented to you, those related to Iran, which President Trump could demand. I keep repeating that in this meeting there could also be discussion about rare earth minerals specifically for Iran. President Trump might talk about this as well since he has an interest in it. The release of Imran Khan could also come up, and perhaps President Trump will discuss that too if he intends to. I can't say with certainty whether he will or not. I'm repeatedly saying that this meeting is purely about America's need for Pakistan in the context of the war with Iran. Now, how much Pakistan is willing to offer its support remains to be seen. But as for issues like human rights, rule of law, freedom of speech, election rigging, judicial manipulation, whether President Trump will want to talk about these, I can't say. The letter that was written to President Trump by 59 members of Congress has reached the White House. And according to my information, the White House has called a very senior congressman and told him that they will definitely discuss this matter. Now, whether this discussion takes place in that meeting or in some future meeting, I can't say for sure. But what I can tell you is that this evening, actually, not this evening, but tomorrow evening, meaning Tuesday evening around 8 or 9 o'clock in America, some important members of the Pakistani diaspora had a conversation with one of President Trump's special close advisors. This is what my sources are telling me. They told him that President Trump is meeting the Field Marshal tomorrow. You had promised us that you would work for the rule of law in Pakistan, and it was on this condition that we voted for you, that we voted for President Trump. So now you should fulfill your promise. That advisor, after an hour, informed them that he had sent a text message to President Trump on his phone in which he reminded him that the Pakistani diaspora had voted for him on the commitment that he would help restore the rule of law in Pakistan, restore democracy, ensure freedom of speech, and secure the release of Imran Khan. It was on this very condition that the Pakistani diaspora, along with many from the Muslim diaspora, voted for him. The advisor will say that he has made a promise to this diaspora, so he requested President Trump to definitely raise this issue with the Field Marshal. The second thing he wrote in his message to President Trump was that what is happening to Imran Khan, false cases being made against him, exactly like what the deep state in America did to President Trump. So the advisor reminded President Trump that Imran Khan is facing the same kind of environment there as he did here, and therefore he should bring it up. Now, whether President Trump listens to this advisor and actually raises the issue, I can't say. Because, as I have repeated for the fifth time, this meeting is purely about Iran. It was arranged in haste. It wasn't on the cards before. The situation regarding Iran changed suddenly, and it changed because perhaps America wouldn't have come out so openly otherwise, but the surprising kind of missiles that Iran managed to reach Israel with, and the destruction that occurred in Israel was not expected by either Israel or America. Perhaps America wouldn't have felt such a pressing need, and matters would have been resolved at the general's level, with only minor cooperation requested from Pakistan. But now, because President Trump has always postured himself as a peace loving president, as a deal maker, even he was forced yesterday to openly make 3 or 4 tweets that were direct threats of war. So, in this changing situation, the invitation has gone out to the Field Marshal. Now, at the end, I will tell you whether this invitation is an asset or a liability. We'll discuss that later. But for now, let's move forward. So, these are the things that President Trump can do and what has been conveyed to him. Now, what can the Field Marshal ask for or offer in return? The Field Marshal obviously won't talk about an extension. But if he has a good conversation and partnership with President Trump, and if the Iran see but to continue, if the military has asked for bases, intelligence sharing, conventional weapons, or any role for Pakistan in instigating civil war, and if the Field Marshal hesitates or stalls on any of these points, I'll also explain why he might do that. However, if he does stall, then to put some pressure on him, President Trump might ask, by the way, what are you doing with Mr. Khan? Are you releasing him or not? He'll apply a lot of pressure saying things like, the community here is making my life difficult. A lot of my advisors also keep telling me, talk to them, look, I've already let you get through 6 months. It's been almost 6 months since I joined the office and I haven't brought this up yet. So I'm under a lot of pressure. So what do you want to do next? President Trump might also, in order to get his way and to fully bring them on board, use Imran Khan as a threat to pressure them. And as for the personalities of both, as I told you, this is an extraordinary situation. The President of the United States is meeting with the army chief of another country. So first of all, there is a huge difference in their positions. Traditionally, this is not a meeting between equals. And on top of that, General Asim Munir's communication skills are not strong enough to handle President Trump. Although President Trump's vocabulary is quite limited, he's a very tough negotiator, so he will really put him on the spot. And in this, wherever he needs to, he will definitely use the issue of Imran Khan. Now, let's move forward. Let me quickly wrap this up. So, what will they ask for? What do they want? What are their interests in this entire region? I have made these things clear to you. Now, what is General Asim Munir's challenge? Many of the people around General Asim Munir have connections to the Shia sect. For example, Mohsin Naqvi is someone who both intellectually and ideologically has a very strong affiliation with the Shia sect. Wherever Mohsin Naqvi goes, you can see his deep influence there afterward. He appoints a lot of people, whether it's the PC, the police, or any other place. And let me clarify, I'm not attacking or criticizing anyone at this time because that's not my intention here. I'm not spreading sectarianism. I'm simply trying to explain the concept to you. What kind of influence will Mohsin Naqvi and all these people have now, or what will their mindset be? Now, as for Asim Munir, all his associates are, of course, from a very strong Shia background. His wife's relatives and all of them are from a strong Shia sect. So, to what extent Iran will be presented as an ally, that can't really be said. But here's a subtle point of fine detail. You could call it a subtle maneuver. The point is that the US and others obviously want to bring about another regime change in Iran and install someone like Reza Pahlavi. But he's also Shia, isn't he? Maybe he's not very practicing or less practicing, but he's still Shia, right? He's also Iranian. And there are many people in Iran who are against the current regime. Now, as for Mohsin Naqvi, who in the past has been accused of working very closely with the American establishment, will Mohsin Naqvi support the other party in Iran, the one that's against the current regime, against Khamenei and so on? I think he will, because he has very deep ties with America. It's a separate matter that he also has a strong religious influence. But I think he might compromise on that to some extent and introduce the other party. Now, moving forward, as I told you, Mohsin Naqvi is a very practicing Shia, has even visited the shrine of Imam Ali Raza. But as I said, they're not going to bring in someone from another country and impose them on Iran. The regime change will happen from within. So it won't be such a big issue for them. If any change is made, it will come from inside Iran. That's why the circle around Asim Munir shouldn't have much of a problem, as long as their interests and satisfaction can be aligned with America. Mohsin Naqvi's main show is that he's always seen with the army chief. You've seen it everywhere in the mall. It seems like the field marshal is dependent on Mohsin Naqvi. From their body language, it appears that the field marshal is dependent on Mohsin Naqvi, not the other way around. So you need to keep this issue in mind as well. All right, now along with this, let me add a couple of final sentences before we close the discussion. Within Pakistan, the Shia community has many highly intellectual individuals. There is significant penetration in the media, and within Pakistan's intelligentsia, there is also a strong presence. In Pakistan's bureaucracy as well, there is considerable influence. When I say penetration, please don't take it to mean that they are some kind of foreign agents. They are from among us, from within our own ranks. Our own people, our fellow countrymen. Again, I want to emphasize that I am not spreading sectarianism. It's just like when we say that there are more Punjabis in the army. It doesn't mean I'm promoting provincialism. It's simply a reality. Or if there are more Punjabis in the civil services or in some other sector, it's just a fact. In the same way, I'm explaining to you that among the liberals, most of them are liberal stake. Our sister, Asma Shirazi, for example. On one hand, they have strong intellectual and religious ties to Iran, and on the other, they are also very closely connected to the American embassy. So for them, it's a big dilemma. On one side, there are benefits, livelihood, and sustenance. On the other, there are their beliefs. Now, which side will they choose? That's why you see that they're caught in a tough spot. They can neither openly support Iran nor openly condemn it. It's exactly like the situation with Jamaat-e-Islami. Whenever there's a war, Jamaat-e-Islami collects funds and sends aid, but this is the only war where Jamaat-e-Islami can neither collect funds for Iran because of sectarian and ideological differences, nor for Israel, because that's not possible for them either. So, just as Jamaat-e-Islami is caught in a dilemma, the liberals within the Shia community are also facing a big issue. On one side is their livelihood, on the other their ideology. What will they do? We'll have to see. Now, I'll leave you with this final point. I can't give you a conclusion about what will happen, because this is an extraordinary situation, truly. An extraordinary situation. The ordinary situation is that no one had predicted that this war involving Iran would unfold in this way. Especially, no one had predicted that Iran's response against Israel would also manage to evade the American systems present in Iraq. After that, it would also evade the American systems in Jordan. And then, despite Israel having 4 types of missile defense systems, those missiles would still get through and reach the heart of Israel, Tel Aviv, and other places, causing powerful explosions and widespread destruction. In extraordinary situations, America has needed extraordinary support from Pakistan in the past. As I mentioned to you, Pakistan has always offered its shoulder, and that's why many countries in the region dislike us. Afghanistan dislikes us today because we offered our shoulder even then in someone else's war. Many liberals like President Musharraf because he would hold a glass in his hand, shake his wrists, dance, and seemed liberal. And there's no doubt that he did give a little bit of space within Pakistan to the media, the arts, and all those things. But our liberals don't see how much damage he caused to Pakistan, how many foreign wars he dragged Pakistan into. And the fault lines that emerged afterward, the advantage India took of us, the destruction that Pakistan faces today, the spread of terrorism, and how in the 10 years after Musharraf, Pakistan was shaken to its core. One looks at that. We only see one side of the story. Now, the current field marshal is standing at a crossroads. On one side are the people around him. I've already told you. This is a challenge for them too, for Mohsin Naqvi and others. But as I've said, I feel like they will end up compromising. Whatever happens, you shouldn't worry. You shouldn't worry because, let me tell you this with certainty, the truth is never harmed. There may be problems, but the truth remains. The path is certainly difficult. You will definitely see things happening that make you feel like everything is falling apart. After putting in so much effort, it seems like everything is going wrong. But let me tell you, there is an opportunity in every crisis. Whatever promises Asim Munir makes at today's launch will become his liability. I don't have any inside information, but this is what my heart says, what my conscience says, what my mind says. Whatever decision he makes, In one way or another, he will have to offer his shoulder. No matter how much support he offers, the Pakistani public will not be backing that shoulder. Along with that, perhaps even the military as an institution may not support it. So let me put it in one sentence for you. I know my words may not affect you, and you will still worry about what will happen. But I am telling you with full confidence, looking you in the eyes, that there is nothing to worry about. It may seem worrying, but in my opinion, a new chapter is about to begin, where all of Asim Munir's moves will now, you could say, come into the spotlight. Now, in all those moves, whatever he did secretly before, now he will have to do them openly. Whether he openly supports America or not, in the coming days you will find out. But whatever happens, the one who is sitting in jail, I'm talking about Imran Khan, will be affected the most. As they say, IG is already in trouble. What more can anyone do? What posting can anyone get beyond the Torkham border? Imran. The situation is not very different. What's going to happen in Pindi? Munir Sahib will have to lose. Whatever decision he makes tomorrow, he'll just leave after that. In the cabinet room of the White House, in both scenarios, they will face losses. In one, there could be a quick loss, and in the other, a long-term loss. In both cases, there is loss. But in these cases, there is also opportunity. With that, allow me to take my leave. May Allah be your protector and helper. Long life Pakistan.